with Roger Bloodworth, just about 24 hours, a little bit more before Tomek Adamek versus Dominic Guinn. As a trainer, as a coach, very experienced coach, there's a change of fighters. It's always some kind of distraction, correct? It's supposed to be Tony Grano is Dominic Guinn.
It's always, it's not a distraction, it causes you to change things, but it is what it is. This is boxing.
You know Dominic Guinn, you know he was training with Tomek. You always also saying that training is one thing, going into the ring and fight, it's a completely different thing. How do you assess Dominic Guinn having experience of fighting Tomek Adamek as a sparring partner?
Well, sparring is always different than fighting because you have to take the headgear off and put on small gloves. But Dominic is a very experienced fighter. He's been in with some of the best in the world. He's got a great chin. He's never been knocked out. He's got a strong right hand. So he's not a joke. And Thomas is going to have to be on his game.
During the press conference, Dominic Guinn mentioned that he's going to open up, let his hands go, and afterwards when you talked to Tomek, you said you really truly hope so it's going to happen.
I think so, because Dominic has a kind of a difficult style when he becomes defensive. He's hard to hit, you know, when he keeps his hands up. Doesn't throw as many punches. When he opens up, I think he'd be more susceptible to or a little bit easier to hit. But we don't know. We have to see what happens when he comes to the ring.
From the fans' point of view, what should they expect beginning of the fight and going forward beside round 3, 4?
Well, I think the first few rounds, Dominic's going to come out and, I think he'll try to be true to his word and come out of his shell and be aggressive and throw a lot of punches. But again, you never know what to expect in a fight. I mean, he might come out and not change anything, but I think he will.
You spent with Tomek probably the longest time of you guys' cooperation. It was close to the 3 months or even more?
A little over 3 months.
A little over 3 months you spent in New Jersey after the break, after the 7-month break. Basically it wasn't 7-month break because you guys started working really 3 months ago, correct?
True. We weren't working extremely hard like you would when you're preparing for a fight, but we started working on different things. Distance, balance, combinations, all the fundamentals to get those in order, and then we went into the fight. Kind of messed us up a little bit. We were supposed to fight in June, and that didn't come off, and then July, and now it's August. But again, that's boxing, and you got to do what you got to do.
You of course heard maybe not speculation, let's name it some kind of suggestion going Tomek's way, saying that maybe in the previous fights he was too heavy. He looks different.
Who was too heavy?
Tomek. There was some of the comments after his fights. The last couple of them were that he's too heavy for his frame. But
how much did he weigh in the last fight?
224, if I'm correct.
He's about the same thing now.
But he looks differently.
Well, he's not as bulky as he was before.
Yes.
He was just coming up to heavyweight, and it takes a while for your body to acclimate to the new weight. And, he's been eating clean. And I think, the weight he's carrying now is more muscle than...
He looks lean.
Yeah, he looks leaner now than he did before. That's true.
So, the Tomek Adamek we're going to expect in 24 hours, it's the same one, we know it, with some kind of twist. The reason why I'm asking you about it is you had this 3+ months to work on something special. Do you have to work to do something special with Tomek or not really?
You always come with different ways to try to get the strategy, but it doesn't work.
I have to try.
Tune into the fight Saturday night. I know you have to try. That's your job.
If I could promise you this interview will be aired after the fight, I'm sure you could open up, but I cannot promise you this.
I understand that.
It's going to be before.
I've been doing this a long time, so you'll have to come to the fight to find out. But seriously, we've been working pretty hard on the basics and balance and movement, different types of. The one thing, we didn't really know who we were going to fight. Then when we knew we were going to fight Tony Grant, we started working on certain strategies, but then that changed into, we've had 2 weeks, so we'll see if Thomas can put in place what we want him to do.
Tomek is always says that his top priority is to fight for the world championship again. As a fighter, I am not saying about matchmaking, deals, televisions, because you have no influence on this whatsoever. As a fighter, how close he is to compete with the best?
Oh, I think he can now. But, if he can't, he's got a problem. We can compete with him now. Last time, he wasn't ready. But business is business, and people forget sometimes that boxing is also a business, and when the opportunity presents itself, you have to make money. And we made some mistakes in the last one. We should have prepared in Poland, not going to Poland. We should have prepared in Poland because he was very flat in that fight. He didn't move. He didn't move left or right. He just stayed in front of him. So, but he learned a lot from that fight. Since then, he's had some tough fights with hard opponents. He hasn't had any easy opponents, and he's come through all right.
Finishing question, watching Tomek for the last couple of days, he's very concentrated. He's very focused of whatever happens in front of him. He looks like a man who is actually right now on peace with himself. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and this is his final time. You agree with the assessment of his mental state right now?
That better be his mental state. If it's anything else, he's got a problem.